Hello again, and welcome to another episode to hopefully expand your awareness and advance your consciousness. We have with us, we're honored to have with us today, Sandy and Derek from Anamliniu. Am I saying that properly?
Anamliniu, yeah, almost there.
Almost there. Okay,
Almost
that's a
there, yeah.
tongue twister.
It is indeed. There's a story behind that theme that, if people are interested, we can go into it.
Okay, all right. Um, And we've chatted a little bit. We instead of pretending that we just are talking for the first time, we've been chatting a little bit before we actually started recording.
Yes.
So our audience is not under the conception that we just accidentally met at the convenience store and decided to have a chat here.
Yeah.
I would like for our folks to try to get an understanding of the work that you were doing and how you came to this work. In other words, when did your uh, awakening, transformation began, and how did you um, benefit from that as opposed to how your life was before you had this awakening?
Yeah, maybe I'll start with the
Mhm.
the latter part of that question. Um, like a lot of people, I spent a number of decades in the realm of, business and corporate world. And at the time I had a very high pressure job, crazy hours, crazy pressure. And I was coming home commuting on the train one evening, and the actual transformational trigger point, as you mentioned, Dean, was I collapsed on the train from all the stress. So I just essentially blacked out, wasn't aware of anything. I was unconscious for probably around a minute or so. And when I came through, there was just a group of people kind of helping me and assisting me on the train. So that was really the trigger point for me. And it wasn't quite immediate. Obviously, there was a physical effect and emotional effect of that happening, but it actually kind of triggered a reflection point over the
Hmm.
coming weeks of, okay, what am I doing with my life? And is this really aligned to my purpose? And is it really giving me fulfillment? Is there another way? And so forth. So all those questions start to kind of bubble up in my consciousness over the course of a number of months. So naturally, I took some time off, and that then started my journey towards my spiritual path in earnest. So that gives you a little bit of sense of my particular trigger point, and maybe Sandy, you
Mhm.
want to share yours?
For
Okay.
me, there probably has a few different trigger points. I always felt there was something more for me, even from when I was a child. And when I was about early 20s, I moved out of my parental home and I moved into an attic kind of room first. And I had to climb up a lot of stairs every day. And at some stage, like I got a lot of pain in my knee and I knew there was something not exactly right. So I stayed back in my parents, decided not to move back into my room then. And a few days later, after staying with my parents, I got the call that the house actually burned down. So that was kind of also an awakening for me and really like trusting that guidance that I'm receiving and trusting that intuition that something isn't right. There has been a few of these kind of moments through my life that has kind of really protected me. So I think that was a pivotal point. But of course, as everyone else, we have to make money and pay our bills. So I went also into the corporate world and worked there for many years. But during that time, I always kept on doing something in the holistic world. I trained as a massage therapist. I did energy healing courses. So through that, there was always a line of really connecting me to the more spiritual and holistic way of living.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You were intuitive though at a very early age.
Yes, yes.
Did you have invisible pins that you played with that your parents didn't didn't understand?
No, not that I remember, but I probably did, but I didn't really see it as that as such. But yeah, no, there were some experience that I had. For example, that one of my neighbors passed away when I was in my teens, and he was very sick. And as a teenager, I didn't really want to go and see him when he was sick because I felt like, oh, I can't really cope with this. So I felt really bad that I never went to see him. But then
Mm,
after he passed away, he kind of came to me and put his hand on my shoulder during the evening and said, "Everything is okay. It's fine. You're fine. You know, there's no don't have to feel bad that you never did that. I can understand that." So that was really one of those moments as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think,
good.
Sandy, you've always been energy sensitive. Like,
Yeah,
there's another similar story, Dean, where we were on holidays in Bali, and a neighbor here, like in the current kind of building we're living in, passed away while we were away in Bali on an energy workshop. And again, very similar. I won't take too much time, but very similar, where that person came and visited Sandy and gave her a hug, and said that everything's
yeah,
okay, don't feel
Hmm.
guilty, and so
yeah,
forth.
yeah.
So
The
you've
same.
always
Yeah,
had that
yeah,
kind of connection to spirit as well.
yeah, yeah. It's always been there. Yeah. It's just
And
about
how
really
did
developing it further. Yeah,
yeah, what you're describing essentially is the design
Yeah,
that we experience a normal life, for lack of a better
yeah,
identification, until we have an awakening. And I explain to people that an awakening is nothing more than that point in your life was for the first time you invert the same awareness that you've been using to manipulate and function within the world, and you turn it inside, and you have that moment of realization that I may be successful from a conventional standpoint, but I'm not happy.
yeah, yeah,
And that
absolutely.
decision or that awareness that
Yeah,
there's something more there
yeah,
is the beginning.
it
Mhm.
is.
And
Yeah,
when you have that, and that is a tremendously misunderstood concept, an awakening. It's nothing more than inverting the same awareness that you've been using to interact with the world inside
yeah,
and begin your healing, really, and your process of self exploration.
yeah,
Yeah, and
And
that really resonates, Dean. Though, you mentioned, as part of the question, our work. So tying it back to our work, a lot of the time we work to help with the guides. We hold kind of live events where there's a Q&A kind of session with the guides, and people
mhm,
can come on and ask questions and so forth. So a lot of the time the guides will help, and ourselves will help kind of increase that awareness as well, and make it meaningful. And a lot of the time we explain to people that, to your point, a lot of people kind of look externally for answers and for directions and so forth. But we help people look internally, because we help them remember. It's almost a remembrance. It's almost one of the pillars of kind of this journey that we have in physical reality. It is building the awareness, having basically a intuition that's developed, how that you start trusting, that inner voice, that inner wisdom, rather than being dependent on news sources, governments, and so forth. So it's
mhm.
really just building
yeah.
that awareness, and that inner trust of that knowingness that they have, the innate knowingness that they have, naturally, as a human
Yeah,
being. Yeah,
Right, right. Oh, well, awareness is both our discovery tool and our healing tool.
yeah,
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 Is when we discover what the problem is, then we let it go
yeah,
yeah,
uh, because we realize that we have the awareness that this belief that we've been retaining is actually causing stress and suffering.
yes. Mm.
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. All right. So where has this path led you? Past
Yeah,
your awakening, you're awakened, you've undertaken this task of advancing your own consciousness and felt um, the calling
yeah,
to assist others
Mhm.
uh, in their journey. And
yeah.
where in you personally do you feel that you've made the greatest progress in transitioning from the um, uh, traditional behavior of workaday world and corporate world and activity. Uh, I know, obviously, and we'll get to this about the channelings and the communications
Mhm.
with higher consciousness beings.
Yeah.
But how do you feel that your healing, personal healing, has progressed as a result of the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, there's a few modalities that assisted on that journey along the way. And for me, it was, after that event I described earlier, was going to Thailand in a remote meditation center, where where I was never a hardcore meditator in my life, but for some reason I was called, that inner calling that I just mentioned. I was called to do a 10-day Vipassana
Hmm.
meditation, silent meditation, which is pretty hardcore. During that meditation, we were meditating for probably around 9 hours a day or so. And during one of the sessions, I could feel my body, burning from not being able to kind of move during meditation. That was part of the practice. And when that happened, something happened, like, a almost, the best way I can describe it is almost a big stream of water just washed over my body and just got rid of all my pain in my body. And that was really a wow moment for me, because I knew that there was something beyond physical out there. So that really
Hmm.
kind of was something along my journey, a practice that really kind of helped evolve me from a spiritual perspective. And after that, then I had to straddle, the world of corporate and survival with continuing my spiritual journey after that. So what I did is I said, okay, what can I do still, like, move away from, say, project management to something that still serves people, but keeps me kind of going on a day-to-day basis. So I took up a role of coaching. So coaching really helped people and leadership and businesses look at things from a different perspective, increase their awareness, encourage people to challenge their beliefs and assumptions. So all of that, whether facilitating change, sustaining change, all those kind of skill sets, I knew that I'd use these in a grander scheme later as part of my journey, which is where we're at now in terms of the work that we do today. Anything, Sandy, that you want to talk about?
Yeah, for me, it's always been really close to a lot of energy healings. I did Reiki, which I didn't really feel resonated with me as a practitioner or doing it as a practitioner. It did help
Hmm.
me to move forward into the energy healing. And from there on, it came across energy healing called Caelythua that really called to me, and that really connects you to your consciousness in a deeper way. So that was really for me, that really helped me to get more into a consciousness living way and stepping forward from that, like, kind of connection of everything is more physical. So that was really some step forward for me into that more deeper level of consciousness and awakening a lot of consciousness. And from there on, I think, like, there was a light language that awakens from that. Also, like, really, really going through the lot of deeper layers of what we so-called past lives to understand it as a human. So there was a
Hmm.
lot of layers that needed to be healed in that kind of sense, because there was a lot of things that came up from that, being like having the persecution or imprint, as a lot of us healers do. A lot of those layers really, really needed healing. And I think that also took some time for me to get through that. So I think healing all those layers and then awakening more and more of my gifts on the way is, yeah, basically where we are at now. And really, with those gifts, trying to help more and more people.
Okay. Please correct me where I'm in error in interpreting what your experience was. Yeah, Derek, you, if I understand correctly, you approached it initially more from an intellectual side, which was reinforced with feeling. And Sandy, you began essentially with feeling and then filled in the intellectual side as the secondary part of that.
Yeah.
Would that
Yeah.
be an accurate assessment?
Yeah, that's a great assessment, Dean. And in fact, it's funny behind us here. When you were saying that, I got a vision, so to speak, or just an image in my mind of yin and yang almost. And behind us we have a symbol of that actually behind us. Yin and yang. So it's interesting because, like, we came at it at kind of opposite ends of the spectrum almost, but
Hmm.
complementary. And I think that's the energy that, like, a lot of people experience with us. In fact,
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. The balance between the two of us.
Well, we perceive we're experiencing it in different parts. The intellectual and the physical is
Yeah,
actually just parts of the same whole. It's just
Yeah,
what we are oriented towards focusing on initially that leads
yeah,
us to the same end.
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. In your explorations, have you asked your guides, your the beings that you speak to about your metaphysical self? We are understandably all analog projections of our metaphysical self. Have you pursued your inquiries as to the nature of your metaphysical being?
Not to a huge degree, Dean, to be honest. We did come across some teachings that really resonate from before the channeling came online for Sandy. We used to follow some channels, and for example, there's one particular channel that describes, basically the soul, and the soul basically creates. Imagine the soul as a sphere, but creates an actual dense kernel within it, and that's actually the physical reality.
Hmm.
And that concept is definitely something that resonated, and that's something that we touched upon and validated with our guides as well, and they confirmed that that is the case. That in fact, like, we're all kind of energy, we're all that kind of soul, but we're actually kind of more or less a soul having a human experience within itself, rather than basically a human having a spiritual, experience. So
Right.
we did
But
touch upon that
Yeah,
concept, if that kind of makes
yeah.
sense to you.
yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that's as far as you understand. We're just more or less an avatar.
Yeah. And that was quite a fundamental for me, actually. That was quite a fundamental shift for me, because I found that quite empowering. That basically, and the effect of actually that knowledge was, that, my fear of death actually kind of reduced way, way, way down, because
Hmm.
like, with the realization and the belief, or knowing, that, that is the case, that we're all kind of eternal beings, that our souls energetic, and even science is catching up with this concept as well, about, like, everything is energy. But going back to my point, so just that realization and awareness kind of, reduced my fear of dying, and so forth. So that was really kind of a fundamental kind of shift. That was really
Yeah,
another wow moment on my journey.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
One of the I do mental health counseling as well,
Mm.
and one of in my practice, I focus primarily on traumas, but I also um, work with more deeper, more significant conditions of people's lives to help them understand and get over that. And one of the most outstanding conditions or basic foundational beliefs that people have, obviously, their perception of separation, but their feeling of unworthiness.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And you can couch that in whatever phraseology works for
Yeah.
you, but
Yeah.
essentially they don't feel worthy
Yeah.
to enjoy life.
yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
And that is an essential misconception that actually prohibits them from allowing themselves to understand and believe the eternity of their metaphysical self and the nature of their incarnation.
Exactly.
Y- Yeah,
And
you
as
you
we
have
spoke,
similar experiences with the folks that you work with.
yeah, exactly. Like, we come across a lot of people with very similar, like, obviously, like, that belief, also the belief in lack as well, which is kind of very, very closely kind of tied to that. And we come across a lot of people with that. So it's just really kind of making them aware that, they're empowered, they're on this earth as a eternal being, that's limitless, that's, fully empowered. So really kind of, helping to understand that is really kind of central to what we work on, with
Hmm.
people. And I was going to say something else as well. Yeah, so I think that feeds into, limiting beliefs, and then limiting beliefs, that energy, the results from the metaphysical all the way down to the physical. What happens is it actually kind of stops people being successful and happy,
Hmm.
because it creates sabotage type energy, if that makes
Right.
sense as well. That's what we've experienced, Dean.
Yeah, I think one of the primary ingredients that the folks that promote the law of attraction miss is that dealing with that underlying belief that they're not worthy, regardless of what
Mhm.
rituals that you go through in
Yeah,
order to try to attract what it is that you actually want. As
yeah,
long as you have that underlying belief that you're not worthy, that's
Yeah.
negating anything else that you
Yes.
do in order to attract what it is that you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, how we see it is very similar, Dean. It's like, we all emit a frequency that's unique to us, and that's
Hmm.
actually kind of linked to our actual soul mission and our mission on Earth. And everything that we could possibly need to fulfill that mission is actually trying to kind of come through our door. But what these beliefs are actually kind of, this door that's securely kind of locked, that's actually preventing. So you don't have to necessarily have to try to attract something like the law of attraction. They're automatically attracted to us. But the problem
Right.
is we have this barrier that's stopping it coming
Yeah.
towards us.
And
Yeah.
we're very good at that as
We're
humans.
excellent at that.
Yeah, if you keep closing that door, they're not going to be able to come in.
Nope.
Exactly. So that's how we kind of, use a lot of metaphors as well. 'Cause I think more metaphors are kind of powerful for actually kind of helping people understand the concept and, triggering a awareness or a aha moment when people are kind of in a learning situation.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
because of the traumatic experiences or because of our pre-programming and conditioning that we have, we are closing those doors automatically because we are always looking outside of ourselves instead of going inside. So I think that's why we are radiating that frequency that is not attracting it, closing those doors.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And it's all frequency. Well, actually, it's all vibration.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I try to distinguish that because frequency is a time measurement.
yeah,
Yeah.
And the reality is that these things happen outside of the restrictions of time.
Time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, how how has your um, consciousness advancement transformed how you work with people?
I think,
I mean,
for
when
example,
you started working one way. How has your um, working with people evolved as you have continued to heal and evolve?
yeah, exactly. So there's multi layers to that. I think, what's very powerful is kind of storytelling in terms of, building that empathy with people,
Hmm.
and explaining, the challenges that we've actually faced, and the position that we have when we're working with people is we don't have that guru, that level where we're all knowing or better knowing than people. We tend to kind of have this principle or ethos of walking alongside. So sharing our own stories, our vulnerabilities, builds empathy. It builds resonance, and it builds trust with people as well. So that's a major element that has changed in terms of how we work with people. The other element as well is, for example, I used to kind of coach. So all the wisdom, the knowledge, the change, the transformation that I try to evoke and help people with tend to come from intellectual sources. But
Hmm.
nowadays it obviously comes via the channeling and the wisdom of the beings that we channel. So really, Sandy channels them obviously, and what I do, my role in the events is really a space holder, so to speak, or facilitator for that. So
Hmm.
making sure that we have a productive, safe, non-judgmental space as well. So how it's changed, to answer your question, is that with the channeling, um, probably the bulk of the knowledge, wisdom, and energy, sometimes energy transmissions that come through as well. So they will be different from how, for example, I operated many decades ago before my consciousness reached this
yeah,
level. So it's really being able to step aside and park a lot of the ego as much as possible and just kind of allow the space to unfold in a natural kind of non-judgmental way. That's my role in the whole thing. Is there anything, Sally, that you wanted to talk about?
yeah. I think for me, in a conscious way, of course, connecting to the guides has brought me, and also connecting on a much deeper level to my higher self, communicating more directly with my higher self outside of using other ways of connecting to my higher self. I think the two of us have used QHHT, for example, to connect to higher self. Well, now I automatically connect to my higher self. So I think that's really a deeper level of consciousness, which also helps me to help our clients with that as well, because I can always deeply connect to my own higher self or to the guides when I need more information or I need something that probably is already within me, but through the guides, it will help me connect on a deeper level to that information, or to help them on a deeper level. Yeah.
So it's almost multi-strands of
Yeah.
kind of, or multi-sources of higher realm kind of
Yeah.
knowledge and wisdom
Yeah.
coming through. And I think what's interesting, Dean, as well, like, I think that occurrence of Sandy connecting with your higher self has increased over the last 6 months or so. So it's very interesting. Sometimes it's comical, like we'd be in the bed and, Sandy's higher self will start talking. And to be honest, it's only of late, the last few months, I've been able to kind of detect, when it's the higher self and when it's not.
Mhm.
So that's kind of interesting because, like, when Sandy's channeling, the energy is much different. Personality is much different. The speech cadence is different as well, and the tonality. So you can easily detect. But when Sandy's higher self is speaking, what's interesting is, it's very much like Sandy, but it seems to be much more kind of maybe clear or laser focused, or very
Ah,
quick and rapid, I think, as well.
yeah, but it's also calming at the same
Calming, yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
calming. So that's an interesting aspect as well.
Okay. Which leads us into another area of information that I wanted to have you speak on. You, Sandy, you are a vocal channel.
Yep.
Derek, are you also a vocal channel?
No, I'm not a vocal channel. I do strongly believe, Dean, and I've been told by the guides, is that I'm an actual channel as well. But I channel more like, it's more, for me, it feels more like inspiration or idea,
Mhm.
or it's more tied to creativity, the energy of creativity. So, for example,
Mhm.
if I'm facing a problem, or I need to do something creative, or create a new product, or a new methodology, or whatever the case may be, the ideas to how to solve a problem or how to create something
Right.
comes beyond me as Derek, the human. So it tends to come that way. So I channel kind of information, inspiration, and creative energy that way. So I wouldn't be a vocal channel. Now, the guides haven't ruled that out actually, which is interesting as well. And that leads almost to another topic where a lot of the time, initially when Sandy was channeling, what would happen to me is I'd talk to my guide via Sandy, and it's typical human, and it's almost that kind of, a little bit, if I was honest, a little bit of kind of competitive, kind of like, saying, when am I getting all my gifts? Like, so something that wasn't fully kind of aware or appreciated all the gifts that I had, and the guides called that out, to be honest, and made me actually reflect and do an exercise of journaling of all the gifts that I do have, and that actually kind of increased my awareness as well. So that was an interesting
Yeah.
kind of
It
turn
was.
of events. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but my higher self that I talk to frequently has a great sense of humor,
Yep.
and I often can tell when they're laughing,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
usually laughing.
Yeah.
at us.
Absolutely.
And
I'm
that,
apparently a great source of entertainment.
Yeah.
exactly, like, we had actually, that's funny, that triggers. We've had a recent conversation with my guide Arctua, I just call him, and basically when he comes through, and we say something, he's always saying yes, like, no, I seen that happen in your reality, and I was kind of watching with my popcorn laughing, so it's almost like, we're this movie or entertainment. It's like we're human Netflix. Let's switch on to the human channel, and watch some craziness happen, a comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I first started talking to my higher self and realized the relationship, and I had the thought, "Oh, I need to apologize for those teenage years." And that brought a lot of laughter from my
Yeah, of
higher
course.
self.
Yeah, we find it very humorous.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very loving energy, very humorous, humorous. And yeah, it's like, they're always joking and laughing. Like, even when something that we perceive as, oh my God, that's a challenge. Like, sometimes I'll talk about a challenge, and like they'll start laughing, and I'm saying, initially I said, oh, well, thanks for laughing. They call and trying to work through it. They're laughing, like, because they can see obviously the bigger picture, and as we realize now, like, the bigger picture as well. So
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
understand why they were laughing.
Yeah, there's always a lot of humor in with the guides, with higher self. Yeah, it's very light. kind of lighthearted, but still going really deeply into the mind at the same time.
Right, right. Well, they're from their perspective, none of this is nearly as serious as we think that it
No,
is.
no.
We have these underlying beliefs and these pervasive uh, false beliefs about how serious this is, and
Yeah.
this is the only phase of our evolution, this range of consciousness, where we actually experience physicality to the degree that we do,
Yeah.
and it's intended to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not intended to be punishment or
No.
any sort of retribution or anything of that nature. And
Yes.
it's difficult for us to transition from that uh, um, structure that we get from society
That's
Yeah.
and realize that it's not nearly as fatal, inevitable as we pretend that it is.
Yeah.
yes.
Exactly, Dean. It's almost like that analogy. Like a lot of the time, the guys will say, "Lighten up,"
Yeah.
lighten up.
Yeah,
Don't put so much
yeah,
pressure on yourself because we're I suppose we come from that kind of with a still bit of residual kind of like performance type kind of energy,
uh,
and like let's try and kind of get out there and help as many people as quick as possible. And you say lighten up, slow down a little bit, give yourself that space, and it's almost like an analogy of a video game. If we actually realize that we're actually kind of operating almost like an analogy of a video game, and
mhm,
like we wouldn't play a video game as a human now, and when we die in the video game, we go oh like we really panic and go crazy. So it's almost that scenario, like when we realize that this is just a kind of university or learning experience that we're
mhm.
going through for the soul to kind of feedback the loop of the lessons and so forth. If we actually realize that, we'd kind of let go a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my Aaron, my significant other, and I were actually on vacation last fall, and we were laying out in the beach late at night watching the stars, and
Mm,
we both simultaneously had this sensation, this feeling of how like wallpaper it was.
Mm.
Well, we were watching the universe, the stars and everything, and we just had this feeling this is just wallpaper. We can just
yeah,
peel
Yeah.
it back and see reality behind that.
yeah,
And that was really kind of a remarkable feeling. Not that, we were so intensely weighted down with it before, but that was just an additional layer of surrendering of the authenticity of this physical
yeah.
existence.
Yeah.
It's almost
And,
even
but
like that wallpaper is almost like if you walk on a Western Hollywood set, it's just wallpaper or
Oh
just
yeah. There's nothing
yeah,
behind
well,
the
let's
house.
just change the wallpaper. Let's take this off. And
Change the set now.
that's right. We'll redecorate. Yeah,
brand.
exactly. Well, tell our audience more about who you channel, and what their involvement with us is, why they are interested in little old Earth down here.
Well, from my understanding, of course, because that's what the only way I can see it
Sure.
from my
Yeah.
perspective, is that they call themselves the Galactic Council because it makes it clearer for us to understand. Then there are so many multidimensional beings included in this Galactic Council, and they are
Hmm.
really here to help us to see through the illusions of what has been put upon us, to see through all the systems, all the things that the pre-programming, everything that the conditioning that we're going through. And yes, of course, what we were talking about before is be a bit more lighthearted and have a lot more enjoyment in our lives as well, because yeah, we are not here to suffer and to really like be that kind of person that
Hmm.
we put a lot of things upon ourselves as well. So yeah, really the guides always say to us as well, like, do something that you enjoy every day because it's important to do that, and smile and laugh every day because you are not here for that. I think they are here to help us on our way to raise that awareness, to connect us deeper to the consciousness, and to help us, yeah, maybe see what is within us. Yeah, that's for me. That is really what it is. Like, really connect us to. what we have inside ourselves. And of course, we are all on our own unique journey. So helping with that energetically, I think, is one of the strongest things they can do for us, is that they send us energetic updates, upgrades, downloads, insights to help us really connect to what is inside ourselves.
Yeah, and what's interesting is there's almost another dimension as well. Not only helping humanity and the human collective, so to speak, but also helping kind of animals
Yeah.
and Gaia and nature, helping us to reconnect because we've somehow lost that
Yeah.
connection with nature. And a lot of the teaching and wisdoms kind of, especially in terms of like grounding and the such. Basically, they do give us a lot of information on that, and techniques, and they do encourage us. Sandy says, go out and take breaks from the treadmill, so that get out of the gym. It's not all kind of pain and suffering. Get out of the gym, reconnect with nature, have a walk in the forest, connect with a tree, take off your shoes, walk on the grass for 15 minutes. Encourage all of that as well. So it's not just purely linked to humanity's kind of
No, no,
evolution.
no. It's
Yeah.
really connecting to nature again, connecting to Mother Earth, connecting to all what is around us
Yeah.
on Earth for us as humans to enjoy and to explore and to connect to.
Yeah, because we're lucky, Dean, in Ireland, because there's a lot of kind of ancient sites, like stone circles. There's portal tombs, and sometimes the guides will actually ask us to go out and do some grid work, for example. So Sandy will go out with grid work. We'll have a crystal kind of circle. We'll do some grid work as well, and just help change the energy of certain places as well. So
Yeah.
so that's another dimension of our work. But
Yeah.
it's not something that this is more of a kind of side quest,
Yeah.
so to speak, rather than our main
Exactly.
quest.
Yeah, that's really
So
part of
they
it.
say, Sandy, you got a few minutes today, run over and do this for us, or pick up a carton of milk for us, and
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that in that kind of sense. Yeah. Yeah. So we get information like go to this portal and do some grid work in the next couple of days, or
Yeah.
even they give us a
Yeah.
more specific timing or so
Yeah.
for us as humans to understand that this has to be done. And but it's nice work as well.
It is nice work. Yeah.
It really raises my own vibrations. So yeah. Good.
And one of the things I've been told by my guides channel by Sandy is that I have a druid lineage. And basically, they've asked us sometimes when we're going on trips down the countryside or in the wild, so to speak. They asked us to actually use the trees to actually connect underneath the water of a lake onto an island where there's an ancient site on the island, and on these specific sacred sites or sites, there's ancient kind of knowledge and wisdom to be extracted and brought back. So that's part of kind of my mission as well. Now, when we do that, I sometimes feel a bit of energy, but they always explain to me that the wisdom and energy is actually, it's almost like a download that sits not on your hard disk, but sits in your energetic field and unpacks or unzips, so to speak, when the time is right. So that's another interesting kind of aspect to it.
It's kind of an unveiling of the energy that's already there then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. As I'm sure you know, the attraction of walking in nature is first and second density. What we perceive to be nature is much less shielded. We, as third density beings, experience forgetting in order to participate in this range of consciousness, and they do not. And even though their consciousness is significantly lower, they still have that connection
Yeah.
to spirit, to their metaphysical being, and so that comes through and allows us to pierce that veil of forgetting, even if for a short period of time, to feel more of that connection.
Exactly. And that's really like, part of, you know, you mentioned kind of all that is, or the oneness, the one. So it's really like, taking that realization that all that is, like, how it actually kind of evolves and learns is it fragments itself into, oversoul souls and so forth. And then down at physical, how that it can actually kind of experience, lived experience in the physical realm and you
Mhm.
feed that back up and, evolve. And so, yeah, that definitely resonates.
Okay. Well, we're nearing the end of our time, and I wanted to ask: do you have any information that you can share with our listeners about our imminent? Um, how to phrase this? Our imminent changes that the earthly population is in process of experiencing.
Want to talk around some of the themes that have come out for the next energetic kind of steps.
Yeah, well, what we're really, of course, we are going through a lot of chaos and a lot of disruption, and it really is just helping us to see more clearly, see in a better way, and that we can actually learn to live in a better way. So it's really helping us to through that wave of awakening for many of us who are now awakening, and also for all the people that are already on this journey for a long time, is that we are really here to help those people and help this to get people through this time of disruption and chaos and
Mm.
everything else that's happening. Because I am sure that most of the people that are here in this audience are probably all fully aware of that, but there's so many people still not aware of that. So I think that is definitely something that is coming forward from that in that message, is that really open yourself up, be in a non-judgmental mental state, and open yourself up to these people, because they are going through a lot of chaos, disruption, and are feeling very disconnected from everything. And they are feeling it so deeply because they are not fully aware of that bigger picture yet.
Yeah, and I think almost like people can get very, and rightly so. Like, I'm not watering it down, but can get very kind of emotive about like all the craziness, and it can actually have an energetic effect on their beings. So, basically, I think the purpose of all the chaotic energy in the world today, as Sandy touched upon, is just to serve as an actual kind of awareness catalyst, or prompt to say, like, look at all this craziness that's going on now, and let's get to a collective, point where we say enough is enough, and there has to be a better way. And that also triggers, like, a certain segment of awakening as well. And it almost serves as a kind of reflective kind of mirror, to show to us, like, that our current kind of reality is not sustainable, and it's not something that we prefer, and let's work together for a better world
Yeah.
and experience.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Well, the chaos is intention. My understanding is the chaos is intentionally being exacerbated to compel people to awaken and to make the choice of
Yes,
how they're going to further their evolutionary process.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Sandy, Derek, I've enjoyed our conversation tremendously. I hope that it's
Likewise.
been enjoyable for you as well.
Yeah, it has
And
Absolutely.
indeed. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
okay, and I extend the invitation. Anything that Aaron, my significant other, that channels the Arcturians and/or I can do to assist you, or any way that we can work together to further this common ambition that we
Mhm.
have for aiding people in their consciousness evolution.
Thank you.
Please let us know.
Yeah, we will do.
Thank you.
And I think, Dean, if you can just, we'll forward you on some links, and there's a special offer for your audience members as well. So, like, as you said, feel free to just add them to the show notes, and that would be a fantastic way of just spreading the word of the work
Yeah.
that we're doing, and we'd be more than happy to, as you say, collaborate with yourself and your other half, and see where that leads as well.
Yes.
That could be an exciting journey.
Definitely.
Okay.
Really
All right.
great.
As I explained to you, I'll explain to our listeners also. I'll put all the information about Sandy and Derek in the show notes, and links of how you can contact them and take advantage of their wisdom and their services to aid your own progression through the consciousness journey. And hopefully you will assist them as well as assisting all that you encounter in their awareness and in advancement. So, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Or is it evening there?
It's evening now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's evening now. And Dean,
Okay.
I just want to say just very quickly, it's been an absolute honor to meet you, and we can see so many parallels in our story and journey as well. And thank you. We're very grateful for this opportunity. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, folks. And hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And if
Okay.
you would stay on the line, I'm going to stop recording
Okay.
and
Sure.
we can chat for a
Sure.
moment afterwards.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.